The whole chord progression can become so easy in a blink of an eye if you know which dominant 7th chord is been hidden by the diminished chord. Hey, today I want to talk about diminished chords. Diminished chords can be easy to play. And you can shift them around in thirds. So if we have a look at the C diminished chord, we have 4 notes, the C, the G flat, the A, and the E flat. And if we shift that shape around, we have the E flat, the A, the C, and the G flat. And then we have the G flat, the C, the E flat, and the A. And then we have the A, the E flat, and the G flat, and the C, which is pretty funny because it's always the same chords, but in different places. So let's take those 4 notes that repeat themselves and use them for building an arpeggio. G flat, A, C, E flat, G flat, A, C. And we can do the same thing starting on the A. And it's still the same 4 notes, isn't it crazy? So this works very well, but it can get boring after a while if you want to explore the diminished sound. So we're going to play this arpeggio on 1 string, starting on the C again. And now we're going to play a whole tone after each of those notes of the arpeggio. So C, playing in whole tone. Now the arpeggio note, E, whole tone. And there you have it. That's the diminished scale. It consists of 8 notes, and if we are playing it in one position, you can see here's the octave. And all the notes that we have been adding in between the arpeggio notes, you can think about them as of color notes. So that means the diminished chord can have some extensions as well, like the 9, the 11, the flat 6, and the major 7. Surprise! We can use those notes to decorate our diminished chord. So let's go back to those 3 shapes that we all know so very well. Let's start with this shape and let's add this note. I'm sure you heard that voicing before, it's so cool. And what I did is, this is the G flat, right? And then I added a note, a whole tone higher, which I could actually do with any of those notes of those chords because they only consist of the basic notes of the arpeggio. So I'm replacing the G flat with the A flat, which is a color note, and now I can play. And the good news is I can also shift the color notes or the voicings that I create with the color notes through minor thirds as we did before. And the funny thing is that this note, of course, changes its name because we're in another position, but it will always stay a color note. So this is the A flat, flat 13. And here it's the F, the 11, 11 going to the minor third. And here it's the 9 going to the root. And here it's the major 7 going to the 6. So basically what that means, you can take any voicing and experiment with maybe replacing one of those notes with a note, a whole note higher. Let's have one more example. For example, this voicing here. So let's replace the C with the D. So let's replace the root with a 9. And then if I shift that chord, I have the major 7 and I have the A flat, the flat 13. So I'm sure you know this chord, and it stems from this chord actually. Sure you've seen that before, and you can do the same thing. So what can you do with it? Just take one chord progression that you have been playing a lot and shift the chord around and try to find other ways to play the same chord. So for example, Corcovado, A minor 7, A flat diminished, G minor. So let's say we would play the voicing we just used for the A flat diminished. And now we're going to shift it, right? So I didn't prepare that, we'll see what happens. So I want to play this chord. I'm looking for the G minor. So I could go maybe to G. Maybe even leave the D in the bass, the 5 in the bass. And then I just need an A minor. I could think about this A minor. And so we're starting with the D, then we have the B flat, and then we have the A minor going to the 4 chord. So maybe not take the same voicing, but take another voicing. Maybe let's say we have a bass player, we imagine a bass player, so we would play for the D maybe this chord. And then we would play this chord for the diminished chord. If you have a look at the diminished scale, you can really choose any kind of chord you want to build. So that's what I did here. But then I want to shift it up, right? Just to spice it up. Maybe I shift it here. Hopefully somebody's playing the bass. And then I can find so many new voicings and new sounds that opens up a new playground. Sometimes the diminished chord just hides a dominant 7th chord, and it's so much easier. The whole chord progression can become so easy in a blink of an eye if you know which dominant 7th chord is been hidden by the diminished chord. So let's go back to our C diminished chord. There's a very easy way how you can find out the 4 possible dominant 7th chords that this shape can replace. You just take one note of the chord. Let's start with the C on the E string and play the note half tone lower. And the rest of the notes stays where they are. That's a B7 chord, right? So we know now, okay, this shape, C diminished, can apparently replace a B7. We go back to the shape, and then we shift the next note, the F sharp, to the F. And leave the rest of the notes where they are. So we know the next dominant 7th chord, that's an F7. So this chord could replace an F7, then moving the E flat to the D, D7, or it could also replace A going to the A flat. Then we have those 4 possible dominant 7 chords that this chord can replace, and in some jazz standards this can be a lot of help because then we see it's sort of a secondary dominant 5-1 going to another chord, and then we just think about those chords and forget about the diminished chord. Let me give you one example. For example, rhythm changes: B flat major, B diminished, C minor, C diminished, C sharp diminished. So this chord, the B diminished, Let's play it here. We do the same thing. We can see this chord could be a B flat 7, E7, could be D flat 7, or could be a G7. If we think about B flat, G7, C minor, this chord makes a lot of sense all of a sudden, right? It's like a diminished chord without the root. And then we can really think 1, 6, 2. Also with the next chord, the C sharp diminished, if you would do the same thing, you would figure out it's an A7 going to the D minor chord. So for example, if you're using arpeggios for improvisation, this trick can really help a lot. If you like this video, you might also like this video. It's about 2-5-1 progressions in 10 levels, and I hope you're doing fine. Keep on practicing, and I see you next week. Bye!